Well, hello, and welcome to part two of the e-bike diaries. And in this episode, I am taking a 14-mile journey one way on my electric e-bike XP 3.0, fully loaded with tools and other supplies that I might need as I assist my sister in the installation of her new 65-inch Vizio QLED smart TV in her bedroom turned into media room, or she is wanting it mounted on a wall. And so I'm going to take this little journey and assist her. And so she found this really sweet deal at Sam's Club. I think it was $379. Pretty good deal for QLED. Just TV of that size. TVs have definitely gone down in price, and that's good to see. Anyway, I thought this would be an excellent opportunity to get out and ride the e-bike, and so here we are. So if you want to join me, sit back and relax, have yourself a cup of coffee, maybe a Danish, a donut, whatever your favorite treat might be, and enjoy this little POV ride with me. I'll be back in periodically to make mention of various statistical things, maybe pieces of information, curiosities along the way, whatever may pop up. So I think I'll make mention here that I have my GoPro Hero 12 Black mounted to the top of my bicycle helmet, and I find it to be a pretty prime location for this kind of ride. It looks like, based on the horizon, that I might tilt that camera up just a hair for future rides. I feel like there's not quite enough sky, but then I am kind of a beginner at this. But I will say this, I have noticed an interesting phenomenon since mounting this camera on the top of my helmet, whether it's on the e-bike or on my VTX trike. It's acting as a deterrent. I've noticed a couple of times that I've had drivers come up behind me really fast. I don't know, they could be either not seeing me, or maybe they just don't like the fact that I am a slower mover out there, but legal. I have all the lights, I'm following the rules of the road, and perhaps they don't like me out there. This isn't exactly the most bicycle-friendly area in the country. I wish it was, but we're seeing a little bit of movement towards people riding e-bikes and bikes more out on the roads. But we have a lot of hard-nosers out there who really have a problem with us. But what I've noticed so far is that those that have really encroached in my space and then see that I have this camera mounted to the top of my helmet have backed off really pretty quickly. And it's a good thing because I've looked back to see what kind of clarity I have at looking at their license plates, and I can see those plates quite clearly. I can zoom in on them, and so it's a really good camera to have, just in case I was to ever get hit from behind or from the side, because, well, I've been in a crash before, and I just don't like the way it feels. I don't want that to happen again. Hopefully it won't. But anyway, there's that. So it just happened to come to mind as I was watching this and thinking about what I was thinking during my ride to my sister's house. So here we go again. I'll go ahead and stop for now. I'll leave the natural sounds of the ride in here, and hopefully there won't be any, anything coming out of my mouth that shouldn't. I have to admit, I'm working on that problem periodically. I say something I shouldn't when I'm out on the road, either due to a close call or a driver coming too close, or that sort of thing. So my apologies if that happens. I'm trying to do this as a non-edited out version so you can hear the real deal, the real me on the road. If you'll notice off to the left, there's a little pond area. A lot of people like to fish through here, and there's a nice little creek system that also passes from there, kind of over a small dam area, and it flows down through here and into the main creek, Bear Creek, that is. There was an exit off there to the left that I sometimes take that takes me up behind a bunch of restaurants, and I can cross over the main highway. But today, we are going to go underneath the highway. It is a huge bonus whenever I do my commutes to and from work. A little orange barricade up here is some construction going on this road that we're intersecting with. Hopefully they'll be finished with it soon. They've been doing a lot of work on this for quite some time. And I think it's going to look really good. Hopefully it'll be even more conducive to those of us who like to ride our bikes and go places. I'm seeing more and more multi-use trails that are wider than your typical sidewalk, kind of like on what I'm riding on here, which is good. And I will mention that I did send a detailed letter to the city of Fort Worth, just talking about some of the needs that us bicyclists have out on the road. Some of those being having more signage out, maybe some solar powered flashing signs that say may use full lane, or has a bicycle that says, it's got a bicycle symbol and it says may use full lane. We have those on some of our roads out there where bicyclists don't have any access, and they're just not very visible, and a lot of drivers just think that we shouldn't be out there. So it's a safety concern, just trying to help out a little bit there. Also, a lot of the bike lanes are covered with debris, lots of glass, nails, various other things that can damage our tires. And if you're a bicyclist or e-bike rider, you know that those materials are not cheap. Getting tires and tubes, it's just not cheap. And so they were agreeable. They even made mention that they're gonna start scheduling more consistent cleaning of those areas with the street sweepers that they have, and that they were also having engineers look at multi-use trails in certain areas where we have multiple high schools. I say multiple, actually 2 large high schools that are within close proximity of each other, and there is not a lot in the way of trails for bicyclists, and now scooter riders. You're seeing kids riding scooters all over the place. By scooters, I mean the stand-up style scooters that have the little 2 wheels on the bottom, and then you know what I'm talking about. Well, those are very popular. Seeing more and more of that, and those kids don't even wear helmets for the most part. So having multi-use trails in as many places as possible is going to help to cut down on some of the interactions between cars and, well, us bike riders. All this trail system that you see here along the right-hand side is Bear Creek Park. And it's a really nice park and trail system. The only thing I don't like about it right now is that the multi-use trail is a little bit too narrow for my taste. When you have walkers and bicyclists or e-bikers out there, definitely it gets a little too close for comfort. Hopefully they'll update that trail here within the next few years and it'll be wider. I think there's already been some talk about it, but time will tell. As I'm actually making a turn into Bear Creek Park, I'm going to take a little shortcut cut through here, and you'll kind of get an idea of what the park looks like and what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the narrow trail. There's a yellow center stripe through most of the trail, not over the bridges as far as I know, but you kind of get an idea even from the video that it's a little more narrow. I'm going to let you pass before I move there.
Sorry.
You're fine. Not a problem. Oh, fella. That rattling sound you hear while I'm riding along there is nothing more than my little toolbox pouch, just kind of shuffling and shifting around a little bit in the cargo rack on the front of my e-bike there. Morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good, how are you? On your left. 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 Good morning. If my voice sounds a little muffled at times, it's because I'm talking through my balaclava, or do you pronounce that? Balaclava. Anyway, so my head covering that's helping to keep me warm, since it's feeling like it's in the mid to low 30s with the wind chill factor this particular morning. So definitely had to prepare for the ride, but it's amazing what dressing appropriately for certain weather conditions can do for your joy on the ride. And even though it was pretty cold this morning, it was definitely an enjoyable one. So as I run along here, I'm using my power assist level in various modalities, thinking about, oh, how fast can I go and still get to my sister's house with enough energy in the battery without depleting it and having a very heavy bike and gear in which to pedal with no battery. Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking about along through here. I definitely increase the power assist level whenever I'm just starting off from a stop, or whenever I definitely am going to be having some stress. I wouldn't call it stress. A little extra strain when climbing up a hill that has a little bit more incline to it. Also, another passing thought is, how many of you are e-bike riders, and what kind of e-bikes do you have? If you'd like to post that in the comments below, feel free to do that. I'm always interested in what other people do with their e-bikes and what they ride. Anyway, so on we go. Well, I was listening to those dogs bark off to my left there just a second ago, and reminded me also of getting chased by a dog while either on the e-bike or on my trike. Gosh, it's been a long time since I've actually been chased by a dog. The last time I was chased was, I believe, 4 years. No, was it? 1, 2, 3, 4. It was 4 years ago, I believe, in the Peach Pedal t-shirt ride when I was riding my Ice VTX trike, and I was taking a shortcut through a country road area. I was having some issues with how I was feeling, and I had to see if I couldn't find a location to get some water. And there were some farm dogs that saw me, and, well, they decided to have a little fun with me. So I came out of that situation okay. How many of you have been chased by dogs while on your bike or on your e-bike? I guess sometimes it can be a little bit more intense than others. Feel free to share in the comments below if you'd like to. And we're getting close to our next, what do we call it, main thoroughfare. We're still out in the neighborhood for just a little bit longer. We'll cross a major thoroughfare, and then we'll get back into the park zone. On we go. How many of you have been caught in the rain on your bike or e-bike? I've been caught in a major thunderstorm on my Ice VTX trike before, and I check the weather every single time before I go out on my rides. And this particular ride, I think it was about a 26 miler, and I was almost home and I saw this cloud. It was developing quickly and it was coming from the northwest and moving towards the southeast, which is highly unusual for our thunderstorms here in Texas, but it was an unusual thunderstorm. It was very strong and it rained so hard, and I probably had to pedal for another 3 miles through absolute deluge and water that came up to the bottom of my seat. And I spent the better part of an hour drying off my trike when I got back to the house. Thankful that I did not get struck by lightning. The only other time I'd been caught in the rain was on my e-bike, and it was 8 p.m. and I was leaving work, and I had ridden my e-bike to work, and there wasn't anybody to come and get me, so I had to ride home in the dark and in the rain, and that was not a lot of fun, but it was definitely an adventure, I will say that. I ride this trail alone most of the time, and I really like this trail. I've got a really nice fire department right over here on the left. If I ever have an emergency, it's nice to know that they are close by. Also, along the trail, there are trail markers that tell you exactly where you are so that when you call 911, if that ever should happen, hopefully never, but if it did, then the fire department could jump onto the trail there and drive out to exactly where you're at. So, very, very nice trail system. And that is still the John Barfield Trail there off to the right. I just happen to enjoy riding on the street through this portion of it. I like the way the road feels. I know it may sound a little crazy, maybe a little picky, but when you've been riding it for a long time, then you kind of get a feel for the road and how the friction level or something between the road and your tires. And it just, the bike and my trike roll better on the streets than they do on the concrete trails. Anyway, maybe it's my own perception, maybe my own misperception, but it definitely feels better to me. So I do take advantage of the roads as I have opportunity, just for that reason. And back onto the trail again. And on we go. Y'all are good. A little history, my one and only crash that I ever had on my ICE VTX trike happened right here as I made a left turn going about 23 miles an hour. I was over exuberant, did not know the ramifications of going that fast and trying to turn a corner like that. I ended up flipping that trike and I kind of flew into that metal railing there. I was hurt, but not seriously, and I was more embarrassed than anything because at that particular time, the reason I was going that fast is I was trying to stay ahead of a diamond framer who was, I think, trying to catch up to me also. So it was he turned around and said, "Are you okay?" Yeah, I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." Kind of staggered up off of my heap of a crash and walked around like nothing was wrong, but I was in quite a bit of pain. It's funny what we do when we got too much pride going on us. And I had no reason to be prideful, my goodness. I'm riding a trike, I'm an old man. Well, I was not super old, but you know, what was I pushing at that time? It's been 6 years. I was 6 years old, 59. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that little bit of history in there. It's kind of funny. On your left. Morning.
tell you what.
I just thought I'd say that I was mumbling there about my gloves and how glad I was that I had worn those particular gloves. They're kind of a lobster style bicycling gloves, and they were keeping my hands warm, and I was feeling it on my face about how cold it was, and I was really glad that I had those gloves on. In case you're wondering, it looked like the John Barfield Trail came to an end there, but it actually didn't. It's kind of odd. We kind of have to deviate off of the trail, and we move on to this neighborhood street. And here in just a second, I'm going to turn back onto the final stretch of the John Barfield, and it intersects with the Cotton Belt Trail, which is a really nice trail also. Oh, here we go. Get onto the final stretch here, and I'm gonna make a right, and we're almost there. And there is a train track that runs parallel to the Cotton Belt Trail, and we are definitely over halfway to my sister's house, and I still have confidently enough battery power to get there. Oh, on we go. As I was approaching the Cotton Belt Trail, I was debating in my mind whether or not I was going to take the Cotton Belt and then jump off the Cotton Belt and take another road to get to my sister's house, or if I was going to go down a different route. And I decided to go down a different route. So my apologies that you don't get to see the Cotton Belt on this particular journey. But I will obviously be taking more journeys, Lord willing, and I will take you along on those trips when I go down the Cotton Belt also, so you can see the full extent of that trail also. On we go. going right along here I am 65 years old, and I am astonished at battery technology. I never would have imagined that I would be riding an e-bike, electric power, battery powered bicycle, 14 miles. Golly, it's amazing. And here I am clipping along at about 28 miles an hour. And I've got plenty of battery power before I get to my sister's house. It's the best of so many worlds. It's kind of like riding a motorcycle. I rode a motorcycle for 20 years, and give or take a few years. And I was, I enjoyed it thoroughly. Just that freedom, that feeling of freedom, being out on the road. I never thought I'd capture it again after getting off the motorcycles, but being out here on an e-bike, it's kind of recaptured it again, but in a new way. A new way because, well, I have the ability to get on the road, on the trail, on the sidewalk. I can go off-road. I'm using these new Ultraverse tires. I put those on just about 1,000 miles. When I hit 1,000 miles on my stock tires. And these Ultraverse tires that I bought on, and tubes that I bought on Amazon, have been fantastic, and they had fantastic reviews too. But that aside, it's been the best of so many worlds. I don't have to register it. I don't have to pay insurance for it. I don't have to have a license plate. It's just so incredibly versatile. And I think that's one of the joys of this thing. I can use it for recreation. I can use it for exercise. I can use it for commuting. My wife has the 2.0 Lite, the electric bike. And I know some people will say, you got those electric bikes. Well, they're low class, they're lower end. Well, they are definitely cheaper than most e-bikes, but I can tell you, I have thoroughly enjoyed this brand. And my wife doesn't ride much, and her bike looks practically new. I think she's got maybe 300 miles on hers. And it just kind of sits in the gear room. And then when she's ready to ride, we'll go out and we'll ride together, and that's fun. It's good for campouts, doing a little bit of exploring here and there, wherever it's legal. If you ever have a chance to stand up for the rights of e-bikes out on the trails, whenever we go camping, and I say we being we the people, I think some of the rules are kind of ridiculous, but I understand some of them. Some people are abusing the rules, but there's ways of setting up rules for e-bikes so that everybody can be happy, I think. There's going to be a small group of people that are never happy about anything, but I think for the most part, the majority of us can come to some kind of agreement to where there are certain regulations and rules that are acceptable to both walkers and to e-bikers. Anyway, am I rambling? I think I'm rambling a little bit here. Okay, I'm going to stop rambling for a little bit, and we're just going to continue on for a little further here, and we're getting closer to our destination, much closer.
I just want to thank you so much for coming along with me on this little ride and this particular episode of the E-Bike Diaries. And I hope to make these things pleasant for you all and maybe spark an interest if you've never been on an e-bike and consider the benefits and the joys that an e-bike ride can bring you. Just being outdoors and being out in the weather, whether it's cloudy or sunlight, brings a lot of joy. And you get to feel the freedom of the open road. So if you enjoy these journeys and you like to join me for some more, I also have other content. Besides the e-bike diaries, I also have the trike diaries, where I'll be using human power and taking journeys in different locations on my ICE VTX trike. And who knows, maybe we'll add something else to the stable and ride it around. So if you like this content, consider liking and subscribing to my channel, and maybe hit that little notification bell so you get the new videos whenever they drop. So I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day or evening whenever you're watching this, and I will see you